Okay, we are now live. This is a playtest scenario of the powered by the apocalypse rules for just a game, which is where you play characters that are trapped in an MMO. I'm going to go ahead and repost for. I'm going to go repost the character creation actually, straight to the character creation rather than the prep page for one of our players. Which name would you like to go by? We have which names would you like to go by? I know one of us is typing rather than talking. Go ahead.
You can just call me Zoe, that works.
Okay, Zoe and MFS. I'm going to eventually call you by your character name, but for now we don't have character names. So
Makes sense.
yeah, very okay. I'll go very. Actually, have now. The first thing we need to do is kind of set the world idea. And as I was saying, do we want to set the genre of the MMO first? Because some of the options, we could have the standard high fantasy, which is like World of Warcraft or EverQuest, urban fantasy, which is like the Secret World, space opera, which would be Star Wars, Star Trek, superhero, which would be City of Heroes and that thing that claims to be Champions Online, cyberpunk, which would be like Deus Ex and Shadowrun. Sci-fi could be like XCOM or X Files, but I don't think there's an X Files video game. Post-apocalypse, which would be auto assault and Borderlands. Very, 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 very. Yes. Do you either of you have a particular genre you would prefer to have your character stuck in? I'm fine with whichever.
Good question. I think if you'd asked me, my preferences would probably be either a post-apocalypse setting or maybe cyberpunk. Because
Post
I actually happen to like these a lot.
post-apocalypse or cyberpunk, and cyberpunk or sci-fi. So I'm going to think we're going to talk about cyberpunk. Okay, we're going to
Yes.
have a cyberpunk MMO. Okay. Does the cyberpunk MMO, is it going to be like Deus Ex where it's all the cyber stuff, or is it going to be like Shadowrun with a touch of magic or psychic abilities or something?
Good question. Well, any preference vary? Because I personally wouldn't mind either, but I suppose going for more Deus Ex, I guess, would
Shadowrun is basically take cyberpunk and add on a flavor of traditional Tolkien Middle Earth fantasy. People think it's getting your fantasy in the cyberpunk, but it's really a lot more cyberpunk than fantasy. It just has trolls, orcs, dwarves, that kind of thing.
uh
I'm in a Shadowrun campaign right now. Actually, I have a Oni, which is a sub race of orc, an Oni Shintoist, and a human adept. We have a very magic heavy group.
all the magic.
The other player has a troll adept and a technomancer dryad. Yes. Oh, so you're interested in Magitech, very? How about you? Um,
Well, I guess I shall run with it. Magitech works.
okay. So we're gonna do fantasy cyberpunk. Okay, we'll go with that. Now, uh, we can go ahead and it's going to be whatever you guys kind of characters you kind of make up. But anyway, now, just the other thing is this a VR simulation or is this a typing at the computer type thing like we have in real life?
What do you mean? You mean like that, the player suddenly gets sucked into the computer, basically? Or if they're like
Their mind is
realistically mentally trapped?
right. Are we talking Sword Art Online and the Matrix, or are we talking Tron and Log Horizon?
Well, I suppose, I guess the Well, I would have said the differences are that with our Tron variety, you have your own body at risk, but,
Yeah.
well, in Sword Art Online, you had the same problem, even without your bodies at hand. You
Yeah.
could just die as easily,
And
and
very,
same as in
very,
the Matrix.
and various saying normal would make it more apparent faster that we're trapped, and VR would it might be a while before we realize we can't log out. That's essentially the difference between the initial difference between Log Horizon and Sword Art Online. In Log Horizon, the game was a standard real life computer tower and monitor, and the update patched, and everybody blacked out and woke up in the game. Um, and in Sword Art Online, they were hanging around for a while before they realized they couldn't log out.
Not to forget the beta testing phase. That
Yeah,
was all normal.
right.
Well, let's uh,
I
yeah, why let's not get sucked into a computer.
Okay, I'm fond of the idea of waking up in the tutorial, blacking out and waking up in the tutorial myself, um, which would be the standard. I mean, at the standard computer, and suddenly finding yourself in the tutorial. Would either of you like that?
Or either that, or in a glitch area, basically a form of limbo, actually having to find your way into the proper world.
Right.
Reminds me of my own experiences with games, where you suddenly end up in limbo.
Okay. Now that said, we can. Some of the other questions here are things that stuff like how are the characters built? Do they have a class and a level? Is it a skill-based system? Is it equipment-based abilities and something else? We can decide that as we make your characters. Uh, if you
Yep.
look, if you look at at the character creation thing, the steps. Let me see where I put that. Okay, the first step is to choose a concept and a look. And what kind of concepts? Just start from the idea of basic, cyberpunk, and add a little bit of
Okay.
fantasy feel to it if you want. We haven't decided the limits of the fantasy. For all we know, it could just be psychics or aliens. But
Or both.
yeah,
Psychic aliens.
there we go. Yeah, but cyberpunk with a touch of fantasy. Come up with what you want, what kind of concepts you want. Who has an idea right now?
Uh, well, very. How's your, you know, how's your imagination today?
Well, we could discuss the standard. There's a couple ways we can go if you guys are having troubles thinking of something. I have three
Well,
thoughts. Oh, Very has thoughts. Okay, go ahead. Very.
share them.
And everybody, I know I usually show up on camera. What happened was I neglected to plug my camera in before getting into the Hangout. And the only way to fix that issue would be to get out and start a whole new other event. And I didn't want to break that since I had scheduled this.
Well, I wonder if we can actually add like a background to this. I mean, currently I have like a black screen. That's like most of it.
Let's see. Let me see if I can pull something up. That might be a good idea.
Of course, make it something cyberpunk fantasy-ish.
Yeah, or I could pull. The other thing I could pull up is the part of the art I have for this game.
That works too.
Yeah, I only have a sketch of one. I have a one thing that the art there was some problems with, and so there was some people saying it was a little bit over sexualized in places, and I have the what do you call it? The artist working on that. Um,
Ah.
but the other one I have is a sketch, and I think that's the one I'm going to use. Let me get the screen share.
All right, let's read it out. So, various ideas. Number one is a psychic doctor. Another one is a potentially psychic hacker or programmer. And the last is a psychic fighter. If you're wondering what's up with the psychics, I made these three all at once as part of a sort of family.
Oh, that's fine with me. Okay, so uh, for we have a hacker programmer, a doctor, and a fighter. Now, looking at the standard, if you look at the list of avatars, those are the the kind of roles you would have as a what do you call it, as a character in a MMO. There are the right now with the playtest rules. I'm starting with just 7. There's the boss killer, who are focused on eliminating single powerful targets. There's the controller, which focuses on controlling the pace of the battle by controlling the actions of the enemy. The mob clearer, and which focuses on eliminating large numbers of weaker opponents with like lots of AoE or multiple attacks, that kind of thing. The sapper is the debuffer, the focus on weakening the enemies. The summoner focuses on having pets to carry out your plans. Support focuses on enhancing your allies and healing your enemies. And the tank focuses on drawing all the attention, obviously. For your hacker, for your doctor, that would sound like a lot, probably the support. For the hacker programmer, I could see that as a sapper, a controller, or a sapper or a controller. Or if you had drones that you could summon, that you could control, it would be a summoner. And the fighter, tank, mob clearer, boss killer, any of those would work. Which one would you prefer to be? Okay. No, because this is a very improvisational thing. I'm going to build the scenario based around what you guys give me. So if you guys give me a tank and a controller, I'll base the scenario around that. If you give me a summoner and a mob clearer, I'll base the situation around that. So it's up to your preference. There is no set scenario. It is entirely improvisational. And we're going to be going through, you guys getting through the tutorial alive. So.
Hey. You should never underestimate tutorial levels, especially in Red Saber.
Yeah.
You just need to miss the stairs, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Awkward game, really sucks. Just, no.
Right. So, so anything you have in mind, Zoe?
I'm actually waiting for a various class decision, then I will see what I choose.
Okay.
I sort of had similar ideas. A scavenger slash engineer class who, sends pets into battle, robots slash drones,
That
or
would be
might even hack other
right.
drones to control.
Okay.
And another one, a form of would probably fit quite well into a controller mage class, but a sort of how would I put it? Well, simply put, hologram creator. Basically, a mage that works with holograms. Creating cover,
Right.
creating maybe sentry guns, things like that,
Okay. So
which would obviously control the battlefield.
right. So that would be either a controller or a summoner. Sapper controller does work. It worked fairly well in City of Heroes, so that's fine. It's a slow process, but it works. Plus, it's going to be fair. It's not as difficult as you might think. Okay. Very well. Zoe is choosing between controller and summoner. Do you have a preference for what kind of personality your player has? There's the crafter. This is the personality of the player, not of their character. What sort of person created your psychic hacker? There, you have the crafter, who's most focused on creating the team. The elite, who is interested in perfecting the skill with the game. The guilder, who has a lot of effort into maintaining relationship with a guild. The native, in which case you aren't a player, you are from the game. Or a newbie, which case you are a new gamer entirely. And then the strategist, who is the planner, and the soloist, the guy who prefers to work alone, but for some reason you're working together right now. Pretty much. Native is an NPC that gains sentience, or it could be the fact that you get pulled into an actual existing world that just is like your game. That's one of the essential questions in one of the stories that I based it off of, Log Horizon. Okay, so you're a native. Okay. As
I think.
do you mind if I go through the stuff that he gets real quick?
Oh, no, just go ahead.
Okay. So let me go ahead and pull a link to the to the playbooks. Put it in the chat. Okay. As the native and the sapper. As a native, you do just get born and raised, which means your lore is going to be +1. We haven't set your attributes yet. So you're going to get born and raised as a move, and you get to choose one other native move. I'll go ahead and put a link into that here. The native moves include faction member, which means you are a member of a game native faction, and while you are part of the party, non-sentient entities of that faction will not aggro on you unless your party starts it. On a quest giver, if you're a quest giver, you get visions that require you to contact players to send them on quests. The system will not stop bugging you until you do. It can be useful. Innocuous means you have an easier time ignoring aggro. Shopkeeper means you can use your tap a skill move, which is a basic move. We haven't gone over them yet. So you can restore your allies. You can restore an ally's resources by 1, just like healing somebody's ammo, basically. Or one of the people, which is get a +1 ongoing to use chat with other non-players that happen to be sentient. If they're non-sentient non-players, they fire somebody else. And do we not pixelate, which is whenever you convince a player of the sentience of yourself or other natives, you get 1 experience. I'm assuming you're reading that. I'm going to go ahead and put down the board and raised, and while I'm waiting for you to decide which of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, oh, the signature character, I missed that one. 7 moves you want to go with. I'm going to go ahead and write down the sapper. Oh, the sapper, you get to choose either traveling curses or supply problems. Okay, innocuous for now. Okay. Makes you easier to get rid of aggro. And on the sapper, yeah, the game ignores you because you're an NPC. You get either traveling curses or supply problems. Traveling curses is if your target for a debuff dies, you can move the debuff to somebody else if its duration is not over. On supply problems, when you tap a skill, you can choose to make it so that every skill the target takes costs them 1 mana, so that you can make them Basically, it's a mana drain. And then you choose one other, which you have damage shield, rob from the rich, contagious debuffs, which means your debuffs can start infecting other enemies, poison application, and countermeasures, which is dispelling a buff from an enemy. Zoe, did you have while Vary's going over that? Did you have an idea of which which character type you're looking at?
Probably a strategist, if it's a summoner.
Okay, so strategist summoner is what you're thinking right now, correct?
Yes.
Okay, do you want to go ahead and start building that?
Oh, why not?
Okay, let me go ahead and click those playbooks. Okay, there you go. So the strategist automatically gets analytic calm, which is +1 will. We haven't set attributes yet, but
Wait, the sapper. Wait, isn't that Vary's thing?
Barry is the sapper, yes.
Oh, there it is, summoner.
Generally, in Powered by the Apocalypse games, you only have one of each book at a time. There are some exceptions, and this one's kind of one of them. I would say one of each combination. But if you wanted to have two sappers, I would be fine with that, as long as they weren't both native sappers. Okay. Ooh. Nice. Okay. Supply problems and damage shield, which is a nice little one. I am writing this all down actually on a notepad. I will go ahead. I didn't think of doing it as a drive doc, but I can go ahead and do a screen share and show you the notepad real quick as soon as. And there it is. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the strategist has analytic comms start. Let's see. The summoner, which is going to be somewhat a complex one, but we can deal with that. You can choose to be either the contract bearer, which means you have one semi-powerful summon out at a time. Has half as much health as a player, about half as much mana. Base damage, it does base damage of 2. Or you can be a minion master and summon summon more than one at a time. Now do note that one summon can represent multiple things, but they as a group, as one entity, are considered a summon. So you might have like 3 fire imps like we had in City of Heroes, but it's still one summon. There's actually one of the options has that. Does that make sense?
So that means you would wait. Would you add up the HP of all of them
No.
together? If you
Altogether, they have 5 health, and when you've taken out 5 health, they're all 3 gone.
but if I have the minion, wait. But if it's the minion master, they do count as their own respective entities.
No, if the minion master is the same, the minion master you can use tap a skill to summon. If you're doing contract bearer, you do tap a skill to summon a creature. You can't summon a new creature without dismissing the one you already have.
Yes.
Minion Master, they are collectively weaker, but you can summon a new one even if you still have one up.
Okay. But didn't you just say that they sort of add up as a group?
Well, no, each different use of the skill is its own summon.
Ah, okay.
It's just the minion masters, they have less health and less mana to start, so they'll tend to die like zip pops.
Yep. And I apparently start with a few abilities.
Well, let's see.
If I understand, the tap a skill, shield other, teamwork, or are
Oh,
these like general actions?
those are general actions. Let me go ahead.
Oh,
We haven't talked about them yet. I was going to go ahead and start bringing them up as we ran across them. Let me go ahead and link the basic skills so Very can look at them. There you go.
well, I guess I should go with a contract bearer and have one big summon.
Now, when you, if it dies or you dismiss it, then you can summon another one that's not exactly the same that has different options, but you can only have one out at a time. And they would be within the same theme. So in your case, I think you're summoning holograms and such, right?
Either holograms or I thought giving life to piles of scrap or something like that.
That make that
Considering that we're in a cyberpunk universe. Or
that
maybe
makes
even a mix. Maybe we have machinery with holograms on
yep,
it.
that makes sense. Okay. Okay. So you also have a choice of the choose one abilities, one from strategist and one from summoner.
Okay, let's take a look at the strategist now.
Okay. The strategist, you have full control encounter, which if you have unused look for trouble holds, you get a +1 ongoing to teamwork rolls. Holds are some moves will give you holds that you can spend later to get different effects, like ask a question, get a bonus, or whatever. If you have used the look for trouble move, which usually lets you ask questions, and you don't spend all your holds, you get a +1 when you're doing teamwork to help out one of your allies.
Mm-hmm.
Empty Fortress is people are used to you plotting, so you can make a point of your involvement to provoke their reactions. That might not be so totally useful in the current situation because it's tutorial. They might not recognize you, but then again, they might know you from another game and still have a reputation that way. That's mostly of use against other sentient enemies. The optimized HUD, when you successfully use teamwork, you give a +2 to someone instead of a +1. Chess Master lets you get more hold when you read the story. That's when you're looking at the lore. Predictive Insight. Once per adventure, you may sit and analyze what is going on around you, and you can use those holds to have things like have a useful object ready, retroactively cancel one source of harm, stuff like that. There's a list. Then there's two birds with one stone. Whenever you find a way to solve two major problems in one action, mark one experience.
Sorry.
No problem. And links in the chain. At the beginning of each adventure, you can consider the reports of your allies and the events you have witnessed and how they interconnect. Roll plus will, and that one might not fit this scenario since we're waking up in the tutorial.
Uh-huh. Histories.
Histories is how you connect, how you met the other player.
I see.
We're actually doing in the tutorial, so we're probably going to invent that as we go along. And I'm doing kind of a rushed view version of this because of the fact that you have a short period of time, and I want to get through.
Basically.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I shall go with the optimized HUD. Because it's actually the first thing I do whenever I play a game. I optimize the HUD.
Optimized HUD. Okay. Which means that, yes, you're stuck in this world, but your HUD followed you.
Hey.
And then you get Choose one from the summons.
Okay. Wait, the summons? Oh, you mean summons no, wait, these are the rules for them.
Yeah, well, you can get an extra move for your summoner set. Some of them are make you better at using your summons. Some of them make your summons better. Others give you gear
From what
options.
I understood, okay, from what I understood, first I get to choose which type of a summoner I am. If I have one big creature or many smaller ones.
Which you already did. You said
Yep,
contract bearer.
exactly. And in addition, I can vary these summons in a way. I mean, if I understood these summon options properly, like I can decide
Right,
to have them have different.
right. Every time you use the summon, you get to choose two of those options.
Two, okay.
So yeah,
Yeah.
again,
Okay, so basically every time you can vary what your summon is like.
right.
And now I also get in
Another
one of
move.
these.
Yeah.
Yes.
The primary summon would mean that there is one particular summon that has the same set of options every time you summon it, that is actually has three summons, three options instead of two, but it's a little bit quirky. It has personalities, it has personality quirks, which means it could give you
Actually,
troubles.
that's fun. Well, let's see. Assist command.
Which is you can use the teamwork move through a summon, and your ally can choose between taking a +2 right now or a +1 ongoing for as long as the summon is assigned to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then your people makes all of your summons sentient.
Yo, I see that it basically fleshes them out proper as characters.
Yep. Every every everything you summon, it has its own mind.
Or I can choose to have the autonomous tech to a piece of gear.
That means like if when we get to choosing your gear, if you choose a piece of armor that is autonomous, it's like a shield drone that follows you around instead of something you wear.
Okay, what advantages will that grant one?
It's mostly like aspects in Fate. It's descriptive use.
Ah,
It helps you set up things that might not otherwise allow. If it makes sense. Like if
if
you
you
have
mean for.
yeah, if you have an autonomous weapon, I might allow you to attack somebody around a corner because the drone goes flies around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an autonomous piece of armor, I could let you use it to shield somebody else, that kind of thing, without being in harm yourself. And then there's
Well, let's go.
go ahead.
Yes.
Then there's decoy summons, which is decoys that imitate yourself or an ally.
Alright, I shall go with autonomy.
Autonomy. Okay. So since we got this is since we got that, I am going to go back to the character generator page. There it is. The attribute arrays, there are 5. Okay, there are 5 attributes. Let me go ahead and type them out. There is build, which represents the combined effect of your passives and your actives and your equipment, and basically how powerful your character is. There is lore, which is how much you understand about the world around you. Uh, that includes, computer programming, physics, science, anything that applies to knowledge or actual lore of the game setting. Presence is charisma. It's mostly for dealing with other sentients, other players that are stuck in their sentient programs. You would use presence. If they're non-sentients, you would use either build or system. System is how well you deal with the system of the game, how well you understand chaining skills, which skills work best together. while build is mostly passive, system is how good you are at actively choosing what skills to do. And since both of you are on tap a skill, you're probably going to want a decent system, since both of you are kind of skill based. And will is your ability to stay calm and focused on the task at hand. They will range in ability from -1 to +2, though they can get up to a +3 because each of you has a +1 already. Zoe has a +1 will,
Makes
and
sense.
Very has a +1 lore because she's a native. Now there are 3 arrays. There's broad competence, which you can get a +1 to every stat. Let me go ahead and get this real quick. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the 3 arrays. Broad competence, you get a +1 to all 5 stats. In which case, you would have a +2 will, and Very would have a +2 lore. There's task oriented, which you get 1 +2, 2 +1s, and then 2 +0s. There's dump stat, where you get 1 +2, 3 +1s, and a -1. There's specialized, where you get 2 +2s, 2 +0s, and a -1. And then there's min-maxer, where you get 2 +2s, a +1, and 2 -1s.
Oh.
Barry, do you have an idea of which way you would like to go? Specialized. Okay, specialized, you would have 2 +2s, 2 +0s, and a -1. Where would you want your 2 +2s? Will and system +2. Okay, that's pretty cool. And where would you want your +0s? Presence and build. Which would put your -1 in lore, which would give you a +0 because that would give you 3 +0s and 2 +2s. That's cool. That's a good build. That's a good idea. Okay, Zoe,
Yes.
which way are
Okay.
you? You can choose specialized too if you want. There is no only one of these. This is however you
I,
want.
I think I personally go with task orientated.
Okay, where is your +2 going to go?
I think I will take it to system.
Okay, and your 2 +1s?
Think into build and lore and have the 0 for present.
Okay, which gives you a
Like actually looking at it.
yeah.
Looking at it, I probably also might want to exchange the lore for +0 and add the other +1 to will actually. I
Okay,
think that works better.
then you have 2 +2s and a +1 and a +0. Come out slightly better than more points than Very. Uh, by the way, I based these arrays. I didn't just randomly choose them. I based these arrays on the arrays used by another Powered by the Apocalypse thing. And what it is Powered by the Apocalypse. If you have 2 +2s, one of those +2s counts as a +3. So that's why the specialized is a little bit lower. But anyway, now knowing that, do you want to change anything around before we go on? Very or Zoe?
Took you a while.
I am bad with names.
I know that well. I have the same problem. Yeah, I think I'm good actually. I think we can
Okay.
play.
Okay. Well, we do need gear still, but otherwise, I'm looking at Very to see if she's fine with she's got. I got the skills I need, the skills I don't want. Okay, cool. So we're going to go ahead and take off that, and we're going to go to gear. Now, before I do gear, you each have right now, not including whatever gear gives you, 10 health, which makes it easy to say I'm at 20% health or 50% health or whatever. Um, 3 mana and 3 resources.
And then we take like 0.7 damage.
Right. What mana and resources are is when you use the tap a skill basic move. Sometimes I get to choose a cost for it, and I might say it costs you 1 mana. And that's not exactly how much mana you have, it's how good you are at maintaining your mana. And if you lose a mana, it means you're spending more mana than your recovery accounts for, basically. Okay.
Oh, it's an interesting system. They should do that in MMO. Maybe have like the cast time, and if you spend more mana, you can, have it be casted quicker. But it costs more.
I'm pretty much trying to reproduce the systems that are in MMOs. Um,
Oh,
and what it is making it abstract. It's harder to do it. The systems used in MMOs are very math complex because they're being run by computers instead of people. They can use more percentages and more complex calculations because it all goes back behind the screen being done by a computer and doesn't bog down the game.
well, to my knowledge, MMOs are actually just 100% calculations. All
A lot
games
of
are
the
basically
times,
just
but you have
calculations.
a lot of times, but you have a lot of effect based off of attributes or equipment altering how the mana and health
True
regen
that.
affects. So there's a lot of complex calculations going on behind the screens that would make be kind of complex to deal with on the table. I just abstract it. Okay. So for weapons, you choose one base and 2 options. You can describe it however you want. The bases are light melee, melee, heavy melee, short ranged, and long ranged. Since you're both, one of you is a summoner and the other one of you is a sapper, the and one of you is playing a hacker and one of you is playing kind of a mage, psychic, or techno mage type. I'm assuming you're both going to gravitate towards the ranged.
Probably.
Short range has less range, more damage, presumably. Oh yes. Let me go ahead and write. I forgot that you can't see. Okay. Okay.
You can't
There we go.
see.
There. Light melee. Light short range has damage 1. It's close and it's fast. And again, those tags are very much like um, yeah, are very much like aspects. They're just used to help you if you're describing what you're doing in your actions. You'll
Wait, so
right.
go on.
I'm sorry. What?
Just
Okay.
go on. I was
Okay.
just thinking.
So you have short range, which is damage 1, close range, and fast, and long range, which is weapon 2 and far range. And far does get longer range. Yeah.
Oh, what I wonder is what does fast do as a stat
It,
if
it's a
it can apparently.
it's a tag. A lot of the times, if you're describing an action and reasonably the opponent can't respond, you don't even roll the attack. I just have it do damage. So you could use fast as an explanation for how you're getting an attack in before the opponent can respond.
And using stat tag costs something?
No, it has to make sense in the with the situation going on. There is no fate points to spend. It's a conversation. I say what's going on, you say what's happening, and if I think a move needs to be done, I ask you to roll dice. Um,
Ah,
the tags and such are basically just limits and suggest and descriptors to help you make your description sound more real.
but I would almost say I will actually take short range,
Okay.
which could, well, if we're in a cyberpunk universe, it could basically be, I don't know, an SMG or something.
Uh, the far range could be harder to use short range. I would not stop you from using it in melee, but I could definitely um, that is one of the reasons why you can add an additional range, and it includes intimate, hand, close, and far as one of your options. So yes, it is possible that I could say in this situation you have a long-range weapon. You're not as able to easily to get a bead on someone because he's very close to you. I could do that. Right, but if you took the hand range, then then your weapon's as good at the hand-to-hand range as it is at the far range. In that case, it would be like the rifle that you can use with the butt of the gun. Okay, so the base for Zoe was short-ranged.
Yes.
Okay. And then you get to choose 2 options to apply to it. Okay, and long-ranged. And you get 2 options. You can describe it as a gun or computer or whatever you want. I'm doing the bare mechanics right. Yeah.
What about a gun that shoots computers at people?
Again, all the mechanics here are these are very mechanic things. You flavor them up however you want. Okay, so weapon damage. I hack the matrix to electrocute you from the inside. If they have, well, you could hack the matrix to electrocute cyborgs, or hack the matrix to cause the light fixture to electrocute them. So yes, and we're kind of doing fantasy type sci-fi pseudoscience, so that's possible. I could see you having something like the Watchdog's phone on steroids.
Watchdog's phone on a stick as magic staff.
Yeah. Okay. Now you do get 2 options. You can add additional ranges so that you're more effective at a wider range of areas. You can have it do more damage, which you can take twice. You can make it more accurate, which again is just a flavor thing for making. It's a reason for why you would be able to do things like called shots. You can make it ignore armor. You can make it an energy weapon. You can make it maneuverable. You can make it area. And in Zoe's case, you can make something autonomous.
It shall be an autonomous gun.
Okay, you have an autonomous. This is a constant. You're a contract bearer, but you do have an autonomous gun floating around you. That's one of your options. What's the second option?
Okay, so I can add another range to it, or
Yes,
I could add more damage to it, or I could add another tag to it, like energy weapon or
Yep.
accurate.
Right.
Okay. I suppose I shall add hand to that.
Okay, so your drone will fight effectively close to you and fairly distant from you. When something is grappling you, which would be intimate range, it might have a little bit of accuracy issues, but otherwise you have a nice wide range of areas where your drone is effective. It can't go far from you, though, apparently. Okay, so the long-ranged weapon. I'm going to put drone there. You can tell me what kind of drone you want later. Long-range weapon is weapon damage too far. And accurate energy tag or ignore armor. Those are all very good. This is going to be the tutorial, so you might be able to get away with not having ignore armor right now. Because tutorial enemies rarely have much armor.
Wait, you mean tutorial enemies are manageable? Oh my god.
You should see Log Horizon and how much trouble they had getting their skills to work.
As I said, I think the worst tutorial I've seen was in Red Saber, but only for the fact that if you feel like shortcutting your way and jumping down the stairs, you die.
Okay, so the energy tag you want, you're saying accurate in tag. The energy tag you want, do you want fire, electricity, cold?
Yeah, these damage types actually predetermined, or could you also say, I don't know, it's like,
They're not predetermined. It's
so
just
you,
you could
so
you
you
could
could,
say void, and that would be like I can hack into existence a black hole.
oh boy.
That sounds
Yeah, just, I don't know, just feeling like, clarifying things for the viewers so they
right.
know.
I apologize, and you're good. You're right. That's entirely a good thing we should be doing. We do have one viewer.
Hey.
I wonder if that's one of the babies who. Matrix element
Well,
damage. Okay, matrix element damage. We can say everybody in this is at least partially connected to the matrix. Maybe there's some sort of uh, program of childhood
maybe we're all
implantation of things. Everybody has an implant. Okay, now armor. You get one. Let me go ahead and remove the weapon bases.
also, I can, if you want, and you give me the link for, people to watch, I could see if I can make more people watch this.
Okay, let me go ahead and grab that.
Yes.
Uh, I put it. I'm going to put it in the chat, and I guess I'll go ahead and send it to your Skype as well.
That works well.
Okay, there it goes. Now there are 4 bases for armor. Let me go ahead and find that again. There we go. Robes, light armor, medium armor, and heavy armor. Robes is also just clothing. Um, armor reduces the amount of damage you take. So, like the weapon damage 2, you would take 1 damage. Mana, the robes give you +1 mana, so you're less likely to have a problem with running out of mana. When I say what that is likely to mean, though, is I am more likely to hit you with mana costs if you have more mana. Because again, I tailor my obstacles to the players. I tend to look at character sheet as this is the kind of obstacles or this is the kind of ways I want to show off. Yes, it does. Okay, Very says it gives him. Gives you a good excuse to do whatever the heck you want. Yes, the implantation does give you excuse to hack anybody you want. That's rather frightening, actually. Anyway, so do you guys want robes, light armor, medium armor, or heavy armor? And the
Let me
bonus,
see.
yeah. Oh, it would help if I were on the actual notepad. Light armor plus. Oh, cool. Okay, light armor
Okay.
+1 armor, enhanced movement. Ooh, that's good. I'm expecting a lot of enhanced movement mode. Cool. So is that +1
Okay.
armor one of the options you took, Very? Okay, cool. Do you want the enhanced movement mode to be flight? Because I'll tell you that the more expensive the enhanced movement mode, the more it's going to cost you when you use it. Okay. So that armor is actually 2 armor. Armor 2. You have light armor 2. Wow. And it's stealthy with an enhanced movement mode. That's pretty awesome.
Okay, what extra options did we had again for armors?
Okay. Let me go ahead and put those up.
Yep.
Okay. +1 armor twice, +1 mana, +1 health, hardened, enhanced movement mode, controls or debuffs have reduced duration, or +2 armor versus a specific damage type.
Alrighty. Heavy armor with enhanced movement mode. What would that do? Basically put it at what medium armor would provide for movement?
What was that?
If
Repeat
you
that.
take heavy armor and use enhanced movement mode.
Then you could probably, by spending something like resources or mana, cancel out the heavy for an action or so. It depends on how much I say it costs. If you say I'm going to be using my enhanced movement mode, I'll probably make it cost something depending on what the situation is. But
Uh-huh.
and apparently, Vary's enhanced movement mode is move faster, and jump higher, like the original Superman.
Okay. Oh.
If you think of the power suits from G.I. Joe, that would be heavy armor with enhanced movement mode.
Well, what I personally had in mind would be a mix of armor and ropes, and basically that thing has like the protection mode where it's like, your clunky heavy armor, and with the enhanced movement mode, it would basically loosen up in certain parts to allow movement.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of shifting about if you
Right.
get it.
That makes sense. Okay. Did you want the heavy armor?
Yes, I take heavy armor.
Okay, heavy armor.
And I do take enhanced movement mode, and I also take that controls or debuffs have reduced. No, wait, you have to choose one of the two, right?
Right.
Then I would say debuffs have reduced duration.
Actually, I'm not sure what my intention was on that, but for now we'll play test it as only one. Um, okay, so you're going to get 3 armor, heavy, enhanced movement mode, and you wanted debuffs or controls half duration.
I think I want debuffs, even though I'm not sure how much debuffy the targets are.
Right. Okay. Okay. So, last little bit is accessories, and you choose 2. And these are just little tidbits. You can describe them however you want. The effects are right here. So,
Wait a
these.
second, I think I'm actually gathering people, or at least one or two.
Okay.
I will take a look in a second.
Okay. Vary, do you have an idea of what 2 options you want to take? And this isn't as
Alright.
rushed. This isn't as rushed as I could have made it. Detect technology thing. Okay. So a detect technology. Was it an implant or a piece or like a? Well, you can decide that when you describe yourself. Detect technology. Okay, that's one. Do you have a second? So you know where the thing I'm hacking is. Yeah. By the way, vanity items and vanity pets can be used, especially like in surprising sentience or or uh, acting cute or whatever. So they are of some use when you're doing things like persuasion with other people that have a thinking mind. Set stop fireworks in person's face. Yeah. Anyways,
Vehicle. Oh boy. I want like a tiny Star Destroyer.
or one of those vanity items from Lord of the Rings that makes everybody around you perform a certain emote and interrupts whatever animation they're doing.
I remember those.
Uh,
Um, yeah, I think I will actually go for a mount. I'm just thinking about what I want. If I want like something like a mechanized riding steed, or if I actually want something techy,
like a
something cool.
motorcycle or something.
Either motorcycle.
That would
And
be a
maybe
home.
a hoverboard. Oh, hey, why not a hover bike?
The home.
Let's go for that.
The teleport thing is to a specific location. That's like a home teleport or a zone teleport, milestone teleport, that kind of thing. Yes, you can make your character pretty as an option.
Eh, which is actually not too bad. I mean, imagine, your character looks all badass and awesome. They will rather trust you to go defeat a big monster.
Yeah.
Come with me if you want to live. I have the swag.
Okay. So you're thinking of a mount or vehicle.
Yes, as I said, I
Oh,
think I want to go for hover bike.
that's a good question. What's the point plus one ongoing thing from Vary? Um, the term plus one forward means you get a plus one on your next roll in question. Plus one ongoing means as long as that situation exists, you get a plus one. So let's see, tapping a skill for a specific effect. Where are those basic moves? There you are. Okay. So for tapping a skill, you can have some of the effects that you can get from tapping a skill is deal your weapon damage plus one, add one of the following add one of the following effects and deal weapon damage minus one, buff an ally, debuff an enemy, root an enemy, box a target, which is they can't be affected or affect others. Incapacitate an enemy for a short time, incapacitate them for a long time, heal one health, recover one mana, dispel an effect, draw aggro, lose aggro, acquire a utility ability such as a movement options. So you would pick one of. Just a moment. Let me see. Stop that. Other people complain at their cats. I complain at my computer.
Good
Okay.
job.
These are the effects you can get from tap a skill, and you would choose either one of these that you have an item that gives you a plus one on using that effect of tap a skill. Deal extra damage, uh, deal special type effect of attack, buff an ally, debuff an enemy, root box. I've already listed them.
Oh boy.
This is taking a little bit longer than I thought it would. Sorry about that, but we'll have about 2 hours
Oh.
of play at this point, but 2 or 3 hours depending on how long you can go.
It looks like 2 hours, but hey.
We're about to be finished here as soon as we get these last two effects done.
Yep.
Detect technology, item or implant, or ability. Okay. Oh, incapacity. Okay, so you're going to get plus one ongoing to incapacitate. Is that a short time or long time? Is it a sleep or a stun? Sleep lasts a long time, but they can be woken up. Stun lasts a short time, but you can keep hitting them and they don't wake up. Okay, incapacitate short time. Okay. So did you want the mount, Zoe?
Yes, I won on a hover
What
bike, which I
hover
think
bike?
is like a vehicle.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
it's the same as a mount, but
Okay. So you have a hover bike, which means you can describe yourself traveling very fast. You got one of
yep.
the pre-purchase specials. You got a better sprint. Your sprint is you can get on a hover bike. No. Something like whatever you want to
I have
describe
heavy armor. People think I'm slow as ass, but I actually ride faster than the rest because I actually have a mount.
it. Zoe zooms around on a bike while Very runs around like Iron Man, to quote Very. Okay, so you have a hover bike, and you can choose one other thing.
Alright, one other thing. Let's see. Wait, where's the list? Scroll down a little. Thank you.
It's the plus one mana, plus one resources, plus one resources.
Yep. I think I want a vanity item.
Okay, do you want a pet, fireworks, microphone, yo-yo? I can just imagine you with the microphone and doing the beatboxing suddenly.
I was actually considering the fireworks.
Okay,
And why? Because surprise.
yeah, vanity fireworks. You can make up your own as well, but that's why I have the
Yeah,
etc. there.
I thought I just tried to, speed up a little bit so we get to actually play and show the
Okay,
game.
yep. Now, that said, I'm going to go ahead and set the scene. Zoe, you as a player have just been making a new character in this game, and for the sake of things, we'll say it's a game that's been around a while that you know fairly well. Um, it would explain your strategist reputation. You just started making a new character, trying out some new summoner build that was into this game that we haven't named yet. And as soon as you hit enter and finished, everything sort of just blacked out around you, and suddenly you found yourself in the tutorial where you're in a kind of outside. You can kind of hear the sounds of rioting, or it sounds a lot more real than it's ever sounded before. Everything looks more real. For one thing, it's not on the computer screen. It's all around you. You're in some sort of dingy apartment. It doesn't look like it is, or dingy room of some sort, where people always start. There is a there's a window with a curtain on it, and you can see outside what sounds like flash bits of sounds of gunfire, Molotov cocktails, cyber effects going off. Go ahead, describe what you're doing.
Alright. So, assume that my character lies on the ground because she just woke up.
Right.
She
Also,
will just.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but also realize you can add details, and sometimes I will ask you what the details. You'll ask me what's the name of the game. I said I don't know what is the name of the game, but so you are free to add details if you want. Okay,
Okay.
go on. Tell me what you're doing.
So, after creating my character, which I smartly named Scrap Molder, seeing how I was originally just trying to test out a new build that I read was gonna work out and tweaked it myself a bit,
Type that out,
I
please.
realized. Huh?
Type that out, please. Script molder. Sorry.
Scrap Molder. I feel
Oh,
so proud of that name.
okay, cool. Go on. Sorry.
Or do you type it with O or with O? OU, I mean.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's just a username. Could also be written wrong. Okay, so the first thing my character does, after wondering if choosing heavy armor was a mistake, was to slowly sit up and wonder what's going on. This is not normal, but it appears that she is in her game, wondering if she might be asleep.
Yeah. Yeah. Thinking are you're when you're saying getting up, are you going to go peek out the window? Or are you heading to the door? What's the normal
Well,
routine for a tutorial in this game?
I would think there basically is no normal routine. I mean, normal people would just jump around, but I'm too pro for that. So what I do is just to, roll with what's happening and move towards the door.
Okay. You open. You're going to open. It doesn't sound like there. You go. Are you listening at the door? The door is right now is closed. Are you going to head out?
I just gonna open it. I just gonna take a look at what is, outside.
Okay. You look out the door and you see a narrow staircase down a dingy, drippy, kind of wet, looks like a water main burst somewhere, apartment. And down at the bottom of the set of stairs, you kind of see a figure there at the bottom of the stairs, and that is going to be Very's character. Very, can you go ahead and um, type out what your character looks like?
Very mysterious.
Very, 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 very.
I always imagine that as the Batman noise.
It is. That's what it was. That's what I was doing.
Oh, damn! I couldn't even notice that.
Na 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 na. Okay.
Which reminds me, I haven't even described my character, but I'm gonna do it next turn.
Yeah, when I have a when you're going to introduce yourself to Very in a little bit here. Usually, you would describe how your characters met in the past, and you would assume that your characters already know each other. Is the assumption in
Hey,
Powered
you're
by
the
the
NPC that gave me that dumb quest that was bugged for 3 months.
Except for he's not a quest giver, but I guess that it still doesn't. That he could still have gotten a quest once, but yeah.
Well, if we want to do it at that, when I played Warframe yesterday, I actually had a random NPC as companion for like 3 quest lines. Well,
Really?
not quest lines, but like quests.
Huh.
Yep.
Okay. Suppose female, tall, long dark hair, black body armor with, let's go with a lab coat over it, and big plasma rifle because those are fun. Name could be Jezebel.
Oh
Okay.
boy.
So, Jezebel is a NPC, a sentient one. Were you always sentient, or did you just suddenly spring into being, suddenly aware of what's going on right now?
That must be a shocker. You suddenly are a person. Gotta comprehend that first.
Yeah. She's been playing the system from day one without anyone realizing it. So you've been sentient. You've been a sentient program in the thing all along, is what you're saying.
When somebody gets a bad job, or somebody disconnects randomly, just her schemes.
Okay. So, Jezebel, what is your Jezebel? What are you doing? You're in a doorway right now. This is the tutorial. Is this the normal way the tutorial works, or have things changed?
Definitely not the island of beginning. Fun RuneScape memories.
Yep. People are rioting as the panic. Yep.
The panic!
I can English good. Don't worry, we all English good.
Basically.
I'm American. We are the epitome of Englishing good.
Hooray! Well, I'm from German land. Yeah, what the hell do
Your
I even
English is
do?
probably better than most Americans. I
That's a
apologize to
sad fact.
I apologize to my countrymen. Uh,
And then the stream turned into like a social. Oh,
suppose that would mean Jezebel is trying not to get attacked by random flailing people and staying well out of the way of said flailing people. Okay. Are you watching the door or are you looking up the stairwell? Do you think did you do you think you might have heard, or do you think it would have between the two of you? Do you think she might have heard Scrap Molder opening the door, or is this or were you very very quiet and
We're
hunting
talking
her?
about a person who wears heavy armor. You can probably hear that.
Okay, so Jezebel, you heard something uh, kind of clunking up above you. Sounded like high end, not necessarily high end, but definitely heavier battle armor type. And you look up, and Scrap Molder, please describe what she sees.
She watches a rather clumsy appearing person slowly inching down the stairway in an attempt not to, slip and fall like an idiot, who is wearing what appears to be a set of plates attached to a rope with neon lights. Let's go with neon green lights poking out like right in between the protective plates. Um, well, the person is a short woman, obviously built with the usual thin mage proportions. She has bright pink eyes and goes with well, let's say light green hair to fit the armor.
And
Right
what
next
is
to her is a flying
yeah, as well as
sort of egg with an eye and a gun attached to it.
a what with it?
A sort of let's say in sort of egg formed floating robot.
Oh, okay.
Let's say with
Hey,
with like two stabilizers added to the sides, which apparently make the thing float with a gun attached to it from below.
okay.
Let's
Well,
say a tiny version of a Gatling gun or something. Basically, it looks like your average tiny robot of death.
so it's got a Derringer Gatling. I'm sorry. I just have this image of a Derringer sized Gatling gun. Okay. She's Jezebel's assuming your drone is a floating gun with staplers holding it up.
And that's basically it. That gives the word smart gun an entirely new meaning.
Okay. So, Jezebel, you see her coming down. What do you do or say?
Don't sprint down or you take falling damage. All the paydays.
Yeah, possibly.
I died once from falling downstairs in payday.
Oh,
It
I've
was a
never
very
played Payday.
embarrassing moment.
Okay. Okay. Waiting for Jezebel. I'm going to go ahead and put out the basic moves.
Mm-hmm.
You already have them. You can link. You guys can already see them by going to the proper link since you already connected to my website. Um, you don't always want to exchange blows. Exchange blows is when you're both able to hurt each other. Oh, Jezebel says stuff. Jezebel gets her gun at the ready and stays by the wall. And who would you be? Go ahead, Zoe.
Well, I'm not entirely sure, but what's certain is that I am armed as well. So I suggest you do not try to gun me down, or I will do so myself. Why don't you start and tell me what's going on here? Or better, what are we supposed to do? Stair
PC
battle.
battle. Woo! Okay. Do you have an answer as to what the problem is, or do you want to go look for, or do you want to have an do we, do you have an idea of what the answer is of what you're supposed to do? Do you know, or is that something you've been trying to find out, Jezebel? And if it's something you've been trying to find out, go ahead and tell me how you've been trying to find out.
By standing in the spawning area, waiting for somebody to spawn who has an idea.
Yeah. Well, since she's hooked into the Matrix, we can assume she knows there's been a massive data influx. However, wouldn't know exactly why it happened yet. Okay, okay. What we're going to be doing there is you are going to be. We'll say you're looking at. I'm going to say, are you looking at the immediate problem, or are you looking at the more wider scale situation? I'm guessing the immediate problem, but go ahead and tell me which.
What, you're asking me or Very?
Very, because she's in the Matrix and hacking stuff.
Hey, careful with the ads.
Sorry about that. God is looking for you.
Oh no.
God is the immediate problem, as in all the people showing up right now. Yes, that would be the immediate problem.
And then plot twist, Vary's actually like that one live stream where like the entire live stream controlled Rat's actions in the Pokemon game.
I'm assuming you're wanting to get the immediate problem based off that. Just need a yes or no. Okay, so what I'm going to need you to do is roll 2d6, because this is going to be look for trouble. Look for trouble is what you use to get answers about the immediate situation. You're going to look for trouble and you're going to add lore. So you're going to add +0. Oh dear, that is a miss. First thing that happens with a miss is you get 1 experience point. Anytime you miss in this game, you get an experience. When you get 7 experience, you can get an advance. So I'm going to add an experience there. Yay, free experience. However, a miss lets me do bad stuff to you. Okay, so Very, while you're looking for answers as to what's going on and and talking to this person, you just have this internal sort of beep, 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 beep going on suddenly, and you realize that your hack that you've been delicately managing up until now suddenly has gotten interrupted by your turning around to seeing what this other person is, and you've got detected. And you're probably going to have members of the Sudabashi Heavy Industries corp team coming in really fast on your position.
Good job. You had one job, computer program. One job.
So what are you going to do, Very?
Download the latest safety updates.
She says, "Darn you blowing my cover." That's your reaction.
Like
Are you
that.
taking?
That is what she tells my character.
Oh, no, 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 nope, nope. That's not what she's doing. That's out of character. My apologies. Okay. All the basic moves are there. Is look for trouble really lore? Because that doesn't seem right. I don't think that should be lore. That should.
It
It's still
depends.
it's still going to be a fail because of 4. I think it's supposed to be a will. Look for trouble should be a will. It's still a fail because 4 plus 2 is a 6. In this system, 7 to 9 is a partial success. 10 or above is a complete success. Anything 6 and below is a fail. So but I need to know that because it means the points I put in there are are off. I should make that will because it's keeping calm and paying attention.
Well, you know,
Yeah, well, it's playtest.
yep, that's why we playtest.
Yeah. Not sure what's going on, trying to, oh dear, we're being hunted. And now she's on high alert, paying a bit more attention for signs of inbound hostiles. So she says that and turns around and starts looking out windows and such. Um, what do you do?
Bit surprised by that response, my character notices that she has a gun and draws it and begins to ponder, wondering if this was a quest now and she was basically in a cutscene of sorts, or if this was some other sort of scheme.
Okay.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, what shall we do now? What do you suggest?
Don't shoot me in the back of the head. The XP is not worth it. You ask her, what do you suggest? Jezebel, before you get a chance to answer, you do see the the Sutabashi Heavy Industries Corp cops spawning in just outside the window, and they're running for the door. They're going. You already hear a heavy knock. All both of you. It looks
Hey,
like they're going to start breaking down the doors. Go ahead, tell me what you're doing.
it's time to farm. Ha 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 ha.
Are you going to summon your minion that you've been wanting to try out with this new build?
Actually, I was gonna consider that, but I just wanted to have a very answer first. But yes, I
Okay.
might as well also just do the same move.
Well,
So here,
very has to type. So if you give your answer first, it gives her time to type.
that's true. Okay. Hearing the bang on the door and connecting it, along with the fact that Veri just said that they're being hunted, she assumes that this might actually be the trouble she was talking about. In
Okay.
that case, she begins to weave her hands and use, let's say, the palm, the technology that is on her palm right now,
Hmm.
along with the psychic abilities, to cast and summon a minion, hoping that it would just work like in the game.
Okay. So let me go ahead and look up how that work. Look up something real quick.
I mean, how it works.
Yeah, yeah. I have to look up the generalities. Da, 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 da.
I think I have to use it as a tap a skill check.
Right. Yes, you do tap a skill. I was just wondering if it counts as one effect or not. It does only count as one effect, so unless you make a bad roll, you aren't going to have an immediate cost. But if you want to take two effects, I can add a glitch. I can add a cost to it. But in this case, there's only one effect, so just roll the 2d6. If you get a 7 to
Okay.
9, there will be a cost. If you get a 6, there's going to be a failure.
Wait, do we have the actual software to roll, or should I just roll my physical dice?
Just roll your physical dice. I need to find somebody who has a die roller that can give me a die roller app.
Yes, I guess I shall make sure that you hopefully hear my tiny dice rolling.
Okay.
Well, shit. Well, it's one dropping down. I had to roll it again.
Okay.
That's a six, actually.
Yeah, I'm fine with the honor system though, varies, so I'm fine with that. But yeah, I know there are some the roller online. Jezebel's placing a gem in the edge of the door and running up the suitcase, keeping her gun trained on the door as she gets ready for the worst. Okay, I am going to call. Oh, huh. Go ahead and give me. Go ahead and do that. Let's see. What am I going to call that? Go ahead and give me the. We're going to call that a keep your cool because that's the catch-all. You're staying calm to get it done. Oh, so you've got a 6. So on a failure, you've not kept your cool. Okay.
That's me while casting my minion summon.
What'd you roll?
6, as I wrote in the chat.
Did you add your +2 system?
Oh no, I did not, and I have an 8.
Okay, so you are going to have a cost. You are going to have a cost. Let me go ahead and see here. Let's see if I made it. Okay, you choose a glitch. So your glitch can be the effect is weakened, the effect is short duration, you take 1 damage ignoring armor, you spend 1 mana, spend 1 resources, or you draw aggro.
I shall draw aggro.
Okay, that is good because Jezebel was rushing very heavily when she got that. Yeah, +2. Oh, you rolled an 8 +2 will, presumably. Yes, for keeping you cool. So you managed to get it done. Now I'm going to let you choose one thing. You're not going to be able to both get in position to shoot and keep the door closed. So you can either get in position to shoot before they get in, or you can either get. That doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, wait.
Okay. Um, you can get up into position to shoot, but they're going to be get up the stairs cleanly without falling. But they're going to be breaking in before you get up to the top of the stairs. Or you can maybe slip and not or be unable to get past scrap molder, but the door will hold a little bit longer. This point, I think you're probably going to want to have the door burst open behind you since you know scrap molder's drawing all the aggro.
And I actually can also give a reason for why she might draw aggro.
Mm-hmm. Okay, they're busting in behind you as they're taking a shot, but as they do, they see this item. Go ahead and describe what you're summoning.
Okay. Since it's going to be drawing aggro, I suppose the effect should be a bit more fantastic. In that case, she has sparks coming out of her hands and just, flying all over the place, while it appears that pieces of scrap and metal around them in their like close proximity begins to connect to each other, forming a vague
Vague.
long,
It's vague.
wormish skeleton,
Okay.
which then is encased by a hologram, which has a vague resemblance of, let's say, a sort of Asian dragon, and it just roars loudly.
Okay.
So yeah, my minion is gonna be a large metallic dragon.
Okay. You get 2 options. Do you want +1 weapon damage, +1 weapon range, +1 armor, +1 health, +1 mana, or an effect from the tap of skill list for the summon to use, like maybe breath weapon? Or you could do that
What?
breath. You could do the breath weapon as +1 weapon as an additional range for your weapon, which would be close range,
Yeah,
and give it
let's go for that.
and then give it +1 armor.
Yes.
Okay, so we're talking skeletal Asian dragon summon. Cool, and it has 5 health and 1 armor, and it does 3 damage. Oh no, it does close range damage. Excuse me.
Yep, 2 close range damage.
Right, 2 damage, close, 3 mana, and it is 1 armor. Okay, they see that coming up, and they start taking shots at you and the robot. They do just plink off of your armor, but they do manage to do a little bit of a chink off the life bar of the robot. So the robot is now down to 4 health. Go ahead
No.
and tell me what you both do.
Okay, question. Do I have a turn of myself, and does my pet have a turn of itself,
Yeah,
or do I need to
the
spend my
pet.
turn to command?
No, the pet is going to go attack whoever you command it to attack, and I will have it do. I will have it do such. Um,
Okay.
you can go ahead and have your own thing. What will possibly happen is if you make a miss, then the pet might go boom, or something might happen bad to the pet. But you can attack yourself as well, and you also have your stapler gun. So
Yep. Well, with a smirk, I raise, or well, point at the enemy, which signalizes my flying gun to take aim and begin spraying at them. This
okay,
is more like it.
okay. Since they have guns too, I'm going to call that exchange exchange blows. So go ahead and roll me plus build. Roll 2d6 plus 1 for your build. And Very,
Okay.
while she's doing that, while Scrap Molder's doing that, what is Very doing? You are in position with your gun.
Well, I rolled a 5 plus 1, I have a 6.
Oh dear, dearie, dearie, dearie. Okay.
You see, it takes a while for the game to load up, so my character's
Yeah.
still lagging a little.
You're also. Um, in general, you only take what you do varies. You tell me what you're doing. You give me the description of what your character is doing, and I translate that into into roles. I translate that into moves. You don't you shouldn't really consider the you shouldn't really have to consider the moves in Powered by the Apocalypse until the GM or the storyteller tells you what you're doing. Like for instance, right now, um, you could do tap a skill. If it makes sense, you can tap a skill and attack him at the same time. I might consider that two actions of tap a skill. Um, right now he has all of the aggro, so I would say you can shoot without taking any return fire. But yeah, tell me what you're doing while he's rolling 2d6 plus 1. And you rolled a 6, so I've got to look up. Let's see here. Okay, you are going to suffer harm, and you get to choose one of the following. The enemy does not lay a critical hit. The enemy does suffer some damage. You don't lose aggro. You don't keep aggro. You are not at a disadvantage, and you do not lose your position. You can choose one of those.
Wait, what is that? This is like basically damage I take.
Okay, you're going to take the 3 damage, which will go off of your armor. You can choose one of these options.
Okay.
I might choose one or more of the others to have happen to you. You can choose one of these options to say that you are definitely not suffering that.
Okay. Could you count up the options again?
They're actually on the screen now at the bottom.
Ah, I see them. The enemy does not like critical hit.
0 damage does have effects, by the way. They get knocked
Wait,
down.
I definitely wait. You tell me I can choose one of these effects, and these things definitely will not happen.
Right.
Why would I choose
Or
not to happen if
no,
the
no, no,
enemy
no, no.
still takes
Notice
damage?
that. Let me say here. One of these things here it says does not. Whatever one you affect does happen. So if you choose, there's a double negative thing going on that's a little bit problematic because it's hard to describe with the language exchange. Basically,
Yes.
if you choose does the enemy does suffer some damage, you ensure that they do actually take some damage. And I'm going to add on minimum of 1 to that deal 2 damage, deal minus 2 damage. Plus 0 damage has effects in these games.
Well, definitely, I shall make them suffer with me.
Okay, so you're going to make sure they take at least 1 damage. So as you're doing that, okay, they do manage to do a critical hit on you. and causes you to get knocked back to the ground. So you're going to take a -1 on your next roll. But you do take 1 health. So you are now down to 90% health. 9 health. And they do take 1 damage. In fact, between you and the robot dragon, the first guy in the line gets torn to pieces, and then Very takes aim with her plasma rifle, doing 2 damage, and takes out the next one behind it. So that you've taken out 2 enemies altogether between the 2 of you.
Okay, so is it now time for my dragon to have its turn?
Well, that was the dragon's. I did say the dragon already. You and the dragon took out 1.
Ah, wait, so the dragon also had an attack roll of its own or rolled along with my attack roll?
I basically, the GM does not roll dice in this. I pretty much decide what happens.
Ah,
I can choose to roll dice, but generally I'm not going to. Um, I basically let you take out one guy despite having a miss because you have a
cool.
minion, because you have the summon out, and
Yes.
the summon is going to take 1 damage because it is it is taking some of the aggro for you. If you did not have the summon out, you would be taking a lot more damage, and you would not have taken out that minion. Does that make sense?
Hey. Yes, it does.
Okay. So Jezebel fires a rifle, having already leveled her gun at where the hostiles are, and begins pushing a hack into the system around the stapler gun that'll start rebounding damage from it. Oh, okay. So Jezebel, I thought you were shooting at them. My apologies. Looks like you are doing 2 things. You are doing the damage shield on the stapler gun, and you are doing weapon damage. So go ahead and roll me tap a skill. So system, that is going to be Jezebel. You're going to roll system 2d6 plus 2. Sorry about that. My apologies. I was helping the other one. 7. Okay. So since you're doing 2 effects, I get to choose a flaw. Or you get to choose a. Let me see. Do you choose a flaw or do I choose a flaw? I choose a flaw. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and say that you're going to cost. That's going to cost you 1 resources between doing the hack and shooting the gun. You use more ammo than you previously expected, and because you have a glitch, you do get to choose a glitch, and that glitch is going to be from this choice. This set of choices. The effect can be weakened. The effect is of short duration. You can take 1 damage, ignoring armor. You can spend 1 additional mana, or you can spend 1 additional resources, or you can draw aggro. Okay, so you are down 1 mana and down 1 resources. Okay, but you managed to take out one of the bad guys, and you put a damage shield around the stapler gun. Okay, cool. That said, 3 more of these corporate goons coming out. It doesn't look like there. It looks like there may be 1 more behind them. They're coming in, guns blazing. Tell me how you respond. And again, I say they come in guns blazing. Whether they hit or not or do damage depends on you guys. Okay, tell me how you act.
These guys really hate you, do they?
And remember, you are at a -1 forward scrap molder because you fell down.
We're off to a great start already. Well, what shall I do? Uh, well, we can hardly run considering that I just came out of, like, the room into another room.
You're in the hallway down to the downstairs. Realize you do have optimized HUD, which means your teamwork if you do work on teamwork with somebody, you give them a bigger bonus.
True. So in other words, okay.
You can describe
Actually,
it
my
by
character
trying.
has a proposal to make.
Okay. Yes, you can. You can do that.
Hey, my character and her lame lying on the floor glances over to Jezebel and grumbles about, okay, listen to me. I'm gonna distract these guys, I have better armor. And while I'm doing that, you will line up your shots and take them down. Understood? She says.
Okay. And yes, Jezebel asks, could I claim to get around the side of the staircase for cover? And yes, she can. Okay. Jezebel, how do you respond to that? I'm going to call that teamwork because you're distracting for her. Your minion
Yeah,
is going to,
what I do system wise is basically assist her attack roll.
by distracting and taking on the fire. Okay.
Exactly. I mean,
Jezebel
obviously.
Jezebel nods as she gets around the corner of the staircase to dodge the fire and returns fire into the crowd of goons. And I got to run for a quick moment, but I will be back in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and ask you to roll Scrap Molder. I'm going to ask you to roll teamwork, which is plus will, so 2d6, only plus 1. Actually,
Yes.
yeah, no, only plus 1 because you had a -1 forward.
I'm wondering if did I had any bonuses from. No, it was not from Strategist, was it?
Strategist, the end result of your teamwork is more powerful, but you don't actually get bonuses to the roll.
Ah.
It did give you +1 will, which is why you have +2 will.
Okay. Regardless, time to roll this. I got an 8.
8. Was that including the +1?
No, then it's up to 9.
Okay. So your options here is you're going to give her a +2. But you can lose 1 mana, lose 1 resources, lose 1 health, or draw aggro. You already have aggro, so on the aggro choice, I'm going to say you lose aggro instead. I could give you lose 1 health. That it would make the most sense, unless you're going to be describing yourself as using your powers to create shields in front of you. That would be reducing mana.
I suppose I shall. I shall actually use. Or what could I use? Palm shield generators?
Palm shield generators? Okay.
Or simply, or maybe an armor, or maybe just an armor's effect, creating a force field around me.
Okay. And that's going to reduce your mana?
Yes.
Okay. That said, I'm going to wait for Very. I'm going to give her the option of either going with just doing damage or going with tap a skill.
Okay. Meanwhile, I shall eat candy.
And I will describe what happens once Jezebel gets back and makes her roll. And I'm going to eat Frosted Flakes.
Pretty hard tutorial fight.
Yeah. But yes, some curious things about the Apocalypse Worlds things. You guys do all the rolling. Sometimes they have some GMs will roll sometimes for running it, but in general the GM does all the rolling. I mean the players do all the rolling. And I will do damage to you when or have bad stuff happen to you when your actions aren't enough to counter the bad stuff I set up.
Hmm.
So that's how it works.
In other words, it's sort of mostly narrative if you think about it.
It is.
Narrative and the numbers basically give you a bit of a guideline and a
Mhm.
suggestion of how to move it.
Yeah. You're basically, every time you roll, you're basically figuring out that you have either a failure, a partial success, or a total success. And if you have one of your moves, you can get some moves in this version of it upgraded to advanced. And in that case, if you roll a 12 or higher, you get a complete and total awesome victory. But nobody here has advanced. And no problem, Very. You do have a +2 on your next chosen action. You can choose to just shoot at them. They're not shooting at you right now, so you would just deal damage to them. So you wouldn't have to roll. Or you can try to get even more damage to them by doing tap a skill.
Spray
You
and
have a
pray the action.
you have a +2 right now because one of the options you have for tap a skill is your weapon damage +1. Another option you have is do weapon damage -1, but do it in an area.
Oh. Well, do we know if these goons count as one enemy, like one horde, or if they are actually, individual goons?
I'm doing them as individuals.
Hey.
On the other hand, you know that there is a minion already out, and there is an autonomous drone with a damage shield on it. So you probably don't necessarily need area, but you can
Yep.
take. Yeah. So if you can either choose to right now attack for. Yep. Okay.
Well, my strategist obviously already had a tactic in mind.
Right. Are you going to go ahead and just take a basic attack then? She says, I tap AoE would be nice, but we can handle them.
Or at least
Sure,
we
why
hope
not?
to do so.
Okay. So,
That would
okay.
actually be an interesting story. Imagine
Yeah.
like players stuck in a tutorial that just glitched up to be super complicated, but always appears so simple.
Yeah.
Imagine
Okay.
that as a story.
Yeah, it is. Okay. I actually did run that story in another. I like this particular concept of genre of people trapped in the game. Anyway,
Ah.
um, so you just blast through while they're concentrated on shooting through Scrap Mulder's force field of trash and energy. And you can see her blue bar kind of dropping as she spends lots of mana. It goes down to 2/3 of her mana doing this. You take out one. Another one tries to take a shot at the drone and gets blasted to smithereens in response. And the last one gets torn apart by the robot dragon. And you guys are clear right now. It isn't likely that you're going to get another spawn points, but another spawn of the corp cops, but it could happen. Are you going to explain that to your new friend whose name you don't even know?
But who already distracted people for you and took shots.
Also, very well not very, excuse me, Scrap Molder. While Jezebel's deciding what she's well, if she asks about it, but it's not lying if they never ask. Okay, Scrap Molder, what do? It looks like the door is clear now. I mean, there is the sound of rioting outside, but what are you doing? You're down the stairs.
Well, it's obviously to move my head towards Jezebel and staring with a very expecting expression on her face. She wants an explanation, obviously.
Okay. Stare contest, go! Hmm. Okay. I can give you stare contest as a chat, and what it would be. I'm going to ask, since Scrap Molder's initiating it, go ahead and roll me, since this is another sentient presence plus 2d6.
I got a 9. Hey.
A 9. Okay. On a 7 to 9, the other PC can choose whether or not to do what you want them to do. That means uh, Jezebel can choose whether or not to give you an explanation. If they do, they mark 1 experience. You had a fail recently, so you got an experience, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Okay. So
Didn't I fail at least twice?
I I think you did. Yes, I'll give you that. So you both have 2 XP right now. Jezebel, you can get another XP if you go ahead and go with the obvious that she wants an explanation and give her an explanation. Or you can just go with staring at her. If you give in, you get XP. This is something I took from one of the other things. It looks to me like a very like a decent way to build XP for your friends. I'm going to manipulate my friends. Now they have a choice between doing what I say and getting XP or doing what they want to do.
How malicious.
Yeah. Actually, it's pretty good. It does the chat thing does not take away the choice from the player. It doesn't force the player to do what the other player wants them to do, but it gives them incentives to do what the other player wants them to do.
It gives the choice some weight.
Yeah. If you had rolled a 10 or more, she would get 1 experience and get a +1 on her next action towards that.
Stockholm Syndrome, go.
So, still waiting for the answer from Jezebel. Is she going to do an explanation?
We will know next week, the next episode of Stuck in the Tutorial.
You have about 20 minutes left, right?
Yes, correctly.
Oh, here we go. Jezebel leans against the wall and reloads her gun. And says, I'm the ghost in the machine. A rogue agent is not something they seem to want. However, I kept them off my trail, though it seems they found me, as if the influx wasn't bad enough already to deal with. That's what Jezebel tells you. Assume your character has seen Matrix and knows the references.
I see. So, you're a role player. Okay. Well, good job.
Yeah.
Well, my character seems to ponder very quickly, so considering that, there might be more waves of people coming.
So do you want to...
I suggest we go somewhere else. Why don't you start telling me why I am here now? That would help a lot.
Okay. Go ahead. You can describe yourselves leaving the apartment. I'm assuming you're going to be trying to be stealthy as you're moving through.
Ha! Don't be silly, I use my hover bike.
Oh! You get out and you summon a hover bike.
Yep.
Is it big enough for her to ride along with?
Probably can at least carry another person on the back.
Okay. So you get out, and Jezebel, you see this person come out, and suddenly this hover bike materialize out of thin air. And Scrap Molder gets up on it and invites you to get along the back.
And she shall reply with another reference. Come with me if you want to live.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to go ahead and roll me. Uh, if you're going to give the explanation of, are you going to try to give the explanation as to why scrap molder is there? I have to wait for you to tell me what you're doing first before I ask you to do stuff. Also, can the hover bike, what kind of altitude can it get? 20
I would
feet?
assume. I would assume since it's like a starting thing that we just got from there, I would claim would be like maybe like 1 meter or so above the ground, or maybe like what 1.5. You know, like your average hovering technology in
Star Wars
sci-fi
speeder
movies.
bike. Speeder bike.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Um, Jezebel, okay, knows that a lot of people and such are showing up in the game. She isn't sure why. Okay. So Jezebel tells you that suddenly a lot of people, other sentiences, or other people are just showing up in the game. She doesn't know really why.
Well, obviously, it is our job as players to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
By the way, if you can give me any proof this is not a dream of mine, I would be very pleased.
Okay.
And I suppose off they ride if Jezebel decides to join her.
And as a further thing, you could ask yourself, you yourself could ask me what your character knows about the tutorial. That would be called reading the story, and you would roll lore.
Well, I assume my character already knows the tutorial, so she would know if there would be any differences. So let's roll it.
Right. And the what one of the possible effects of a failure would be the fact that things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
So what you know is inaccurate. So, and while he's doing that, Jezebel, do you have any reaction to what she was telling you? It's up to, where she said it's up to us as players to fix things.
I rolled an 8, by the way, plus 0 from lore, making it an 8 total.
8 total. Read the story is what I call my lore thing. On a 8, on a 7 to 9, you get to hold 1. You can ask one question, and it's not. It has to be from a specific list. One of these questions, you can choose one to ask me. I have to answer honestly. Okay, Jezebel shrugs. I am unaware if there's anything we are capable of doing. My only goals have been figuring out how to slow this down. Getting people out is for later.
I'm gonna ask what vulnerabilities the enemies have that we face here.
Okay, these are. It's a typical. The rioters are a typical feature of the tutorial. They're really low hit points, no armor. Pretty much die if you sneeze at them.
Damn. So informative.
Yeah,
So basically, AoE is actually suggested if they have like more than one person attacking you at a time.
right. Now, if you want to do look at the situation, oh, by the way, that is what she said. My only goals have been figuring out how to slow this down. Getting people out is for later.
Mm-hmm.
You can also look for trouble, which is looking at the normal situation, looking at the situation in the area. And yes, not every question is going to be useful in every situation. In the tutorial, asking what sort of vulnerabilities do monsters have in the tutorial, most tutorial monsters aren't very. However, I will say the the corporate cops are usually vulnerable to electrical attacks because they short out. So
Aha.
if more of them show up, you can probably summon something that does electrical damage.
The wet version of the dragon who just hugs them, they die.
Hacks the Matrix to zappy them. Yes. So you're going to tell? Are you going to tell Jezebel that they are vulnerable to electricity?
Actually, yes, why not?
Go ahead and
By the
display.
way, if these goons show up another time, you should try to electrocute them. They're apparently very weak to that.
Okay. You can also, either of you, look for trouble, which is reading the current situation. It has a different set of questions you can ask. The advanced version of these moves basically is if you roll a 12 or more, you get to ask any question you want, not just the ones on the list.
What can we do to piss the GM off really bad?
Yeah. So if you want to look for trouble, that's going to be plus will, which both of you have fairly well at +2.
Yep.
You would have to tell me how you're looking for trouble, how you're examining the situation. Like, are you looking for zone exits and that kind of thing?
Thinking about, so we are basically in a rioting area.
It's the tutorial. I'm going to tell you it is the standard Chicago riots tutorial zone. It's constantly like this. Um, Probably Jezebel. I'm going to guess Jezebel showed up here to lay low because it's not someplace people are going to expect to look for her. And then suddenly it got really intense, and corp cops were spawning in.
Okay, so I could also look for trouble by looking for like secluded or isolated people and just simply asking them because it is probably safer to ask a single individual in a crowd than to go to a crowd where you might be dragged into unnecessary action.
Okay, go ahead for look for trouble at roll the plus will, and I'll see if you can find will +2. Jezebel, are you going to be trying to look for trouble?
I actually rolled an 11 on this, +2, making it a 13.
Hmm. Too bad you don't have advanced. Lay low and
Yep.
find out what's going on, because this is where many people are presumably showing up. Okay, yep. Now you get to ask. You get to hold 3, which means you can ask these questions at any time. You can spend a hold to ask any one of these questions. You have 3 hold. So, and they're on the screen now, right now.
Yes, okay, let me see. What's my best way out?
Okay, you stop and talk to a figure, and it looks like it's one of the zone NPCs, and it starts giving you a kind of semi-altered spiel. It's like, we have to get to the exit evacuation. We have to get to the there's a let me see.
The NPC glitches out and
Yeah,
just
I'm trying to
dies.
decide whether evacuation point would evacuation point be a desirable to the cyberpunk types? Yes or
Or
no?
what would be the other solution? We just have to fuck off. Just
There's
choose the
yeah.
direction, go until you're out of trouble.
Well, there's this. Maybe we can get out through the construction zone. I think there's a way out through the wall at the other end. I can say that. Yeah, the brain is uploading. The NPC is experiencing lag. It's like she sort of points out, and you're on your HUD. This little bloop shows up that is a direction thing. That there is a way out through this construction zone. That I think somebody blew a hole in one of the walls or something. And I think we can get out that way. Yeah, I think you get out that way if we can get past all these rioters. You can ask 2 more questions, or you can save them.
Hmm. Yeah, I shall save the questions for you.
Okay, so you have 2 hold right now. Your best way out is through that construction zone past all these rioters.
Well, seeing how we actually have to start and wrap up the entire thing.
I'm going to be wrapping it up when you get out of the tutorial zone.
I mean, I would have suggested a hover biking into the sunset, but that works too.
Yeah, that you can try to hover bike up into the zone, up to the thing. Do you think there is going to be a hidden? Try to find a glitchy hidden zone. Maybe there's a glitchy hidden zone bug up in the air that you can only get to through flight or something.
Well, that, or maybe, most people probably don't start with a bike over here.
Okay, so you're going to try to use the hover bike to get out of the zone.
Yep.
Jezebel, are you going to do anything to help out with that? Is there anything way you can think of to help out with that? What actions are you going to be taking? This is probably going to be the last set of actions because um, has to leave in 5 minutes. Zoe has to leave in 5 minutes. Other than perhaps helping point the way to go, I don't think of much to do to help. I will go ahead and point the way out. So what's going to happen is Jezebel, I need you to roll 2d6 plus will to do teamwork. And then I'm going to have Scrap Molder do 2d6 plus 2 for keep your cool, for try to pilot your way through the riot to get to the zone. And you're going to get a +1. But Jezebel, you're going to have to choose a problem for teamwork because you did only a partial success. So you can go ahead, lose 1 mana, lose 1 resources, lose 1 health, or draw aggro. And we lost the viewer.
No.
Probably because we said this is going to be the last.
I wonder who the viewer was even.
I don't know.
Did we had more viewers throughout the entire thing?
Okay, mana burn again. Because yeah, aggro would be mean. I would. It's in this case. I would, if you wanted to reason for taking damage by, I would say take 1 health, representing getting hit in the head with a rock as you go by or something. But yeah, to take 1 mana burn, I'm going to say you used your hacking thing to zap someone before they hit you in the head with a rock. So you lost mana zapping someone. Go ahead and give me 2d6 plus 3 because you got a teamwork bonus.
I got a 9. I suppose +2 from the will makes it 11, and the additional bonus, I think that's 14, right?
Yes. So you accomplish your desired task, no problem.
Hey.
You goes aside from the one rioter that tried to bean Jezebel in the head with a rock before she hacked him into a seizure. There was almost no problem. You got through as smooth as a knife through butter. You get to the zone and exit out into the wider world of this game gone crazy. And
Yep.
that'll be it.
And
I
we
hope you
shall
guys
be known in the story as like the crazy writers or something.
yeah. I hope you guys had fun.
Yes, it was pretty fun.
And that is my first playtest of this system. Thank you. I made this mostly based off of Monster of the Week and Spirit of 77, with some ideas from Dungeon World. So those are the 3 Apocalypse World um, games I already had when I started writing this. So you guys, Monster of the Week is my particular favorite. There's also Urban Shadows and Worlds in Peril. But anyway, glad you could attend. Zoe, I guess you have to go.
Yes, that's correct.
And have a good day.
Same to you. See ya.
See ya. And that is going to be ending. Bye bye. Yep, Zoe went. And bye bye, Very. I'm going to go ahead and stop the broadcast.